Hello, my special snowflakes, and welcome to Icy Cold Snowflake Headquarters, home of the reclusive house hermit known as Snowy Ange. So today, as you can tell, I'm mixing it up a little. Recently, I did a poll asking if you'd like to see Storytime videos as speed paints, as I don't have a lot of time for animations right now, and I received a resounding yes. So that's what this video, and one video a week from now on till further notice, will be. So I never did tell many people in my life about this experience, maybe just a few at school who I was closest to while trying to figure out what exactly to do in this situation. However, in my 11th grade of high school, I dated this guy who was, well, a creep. It started in spring of my junior year in high school, when I was about 17. At the time, I was president of the anime club at my school, so I was at the front of the room a lot to give announcements and junk like that, and this boy used to stare at me a lot. One day, out of the blue, he gets out of his chair, goes to me while I'm speaking to ask me out, in front of the entire club. Now, I don't know if you know about this, but I'm an extremely anxious person. I really can't handle high levels of anxiety and stress, or in this case, being put on the spot, especially in front of other people. So I did what I always do in those situations. I said, sure, I'll go out with you. I mean, I thought he was a nice guy and that he'd be good for me, but we only dated for a couple weeks, so he definitely wasn't. During our 2 weeks together, I tried to give him a chance. I thought, well, maybe I'll start liking him, so why not? So not the case. During that time, he was very handsy. He'd also ask to make out every time we met up, so much that it was around my friends, and those friends would be uncomfortable enough to where they'd ask us to go somewhere else to do it. He'd also shower me in presents, which consisted of money, Pepsi, and Kit Kats. I was a simple girl. Eventually, after 2 weeks of him showering me with gifts daily and asking to make out every time we met up, he sent me a text message that made me think really hard on if I actually liked him or not. I was at home and just relaxing, playing the South Park Stick of Truth game when I got his text asking if I was a virgin. Yes, you read that right. He spelled it virgin. I was a little bothered by this, but I told him I was, and he said him too. Then he asked to have sex with me. The thing is, at the time I actually wasn't, and I was just ashamed of how I'd given up my virginity. So I told him I was a virgin, but told him I didn't want to do with him. He was upset, and that night I kept thinking longer and longer, and harder about if I really cared for him. I barely got any sleep. By the next morning, I had my answer. But how to ask him for a break? How to ask him for a break while I sorted out how I felt completely? I wasn't sure at all, and really wasn't good at confrontation. Now, he was a nice boy, and he certainly didn't deserve how I told him. I asked some friends to tell him for me. He was understandably upset and marched over to try to find me, where I was hiding in the back room of our club room. I was with friends and somehow managed to tell him myself. I needed a break. No contact at all. For a while I figured myself out at least. I already knew, but I wanted to make sure. I didn't want to hurt him any more than I had. He agreed, reluctantly, but 2 days into this he began messaging me, then calling. I was becoming extremely uncomfortable. I kept asking him to stop texting and calling me, but he wouldn't. Then eventually he texted me a weird message. He said he saw me sitting at the bus stop. The public bus stop. I felt my blood run cold. He was creeping on me, spying, and low-key stalking me at this point. I told him to stop messaging me again, and the next day I texted him that we were through. I took some time off, went to online school, and avoided anime club for a couple of weeks. Eventually, I went back to in-person classes for my senior year, and had been going back to anime club while still in online. So I began to see him around again, but I avoided him. I didn't want to talk to him. Then, about 6 months after we broke up, he started messaging me on Facebook saying he missed me, that he still loved me, he wanted a second chance, but by then I was better at being firm and outright with things, and I told him no, that I wasn't interested. He kept messaging me, and he began to turn it from begging to guilt tripping. I eventually told him to stop messaging me and that I wanted to not talk to him anymore. He said gladly, and since then we haven't spoken. But during the conversation, he said a lot of troubling things, including that what I had done to him made him give up on love. It was very weird. Anyway, this sort of taught me to be more careful with how I treat others and who I date. This guy, though a bit of a creepy, stalkerish guilt tripper, was more harmless. I definitely dodged a bullet there, and I hope y'all can dodge bullets like that too, or bullets worse than that. Well, this has been Snowy Ange. Thank you so much for visiting Snowflake headquarters. Safe travels through the snow and storm, and stay chilly. Bye!